the bedroom, my Aunt Lola was doing yoga, and the scent of maturity filled the air. I was so nervous I didn't know what to do, my heart resisting yet unconsciously drawn in. At 32, I had accomplished nothing. I had fallen out with my family or my girlfriend and sought refuge with my mother as friend, Wu Jing. She warmly welcomed me and let me stay in her big house. The afternoon sunlight streamed lazily through the beige window screen, spilling across the wooden floor of the living room. The air was filled with the faint scent of lavender aromatherapy, the unique fragrance of a gentle, mature woman, elegant yet carrying a suffocating stillness. I sat on the sofa, my hands gripping the fabric on my knees, my knuckles white from the tension. My gaze involuntarily drifted to the center of the living room where one was doing yoga. She wore a tight, dark purple yoga outfit, the fabric clinging like a second skin to her curvaceous figure. Her body displayed an astonishing flexibility. Each stretch, each twist, seemed to silently convey the unique charm of a mature woman. She was anti-skinny, girlish type. She was full, voluptuous like a ripe, juicy peach hanging heavily from a branch, exuding an intoxicating sweetness. My name is Lin Yu, and I am 32 years old. At this age when I should be starting a family and building a career, I was hiding out here like a desertion. I gave up my stable life and came alone to this strange city, seeking refuge with my mother as longtime close friend. My memories of when one were actually very vague, just the image of an aunt who always smiled and gave me candy when I was a child. But this reunion was a huge shock. She was 17 years older than me, yet the knife of time seemed to have been unusually merciful. But it had endowed her with a charm that no young girl could match. Her skin was still fair as snow, delicate and translucent, and her figure hadn't any changed at all. Instead, the passage of years had made it even more breathtaking. Say, make yourself at home, when one said, slowly standing up after finishing her last pose. A thin layer of fine sweat beaded on her forehead, glistening in the sunlight. She casually picked up a towel to wipe her sweat, then turned to look at me, her eyes carrying a hint of curiosity and a kind of tenderness I couldn't quite fathom. I looked away in panic, my throat dry. Thank you. At 1. That evening in the bedroom light was dimmed, when one sat on the edge of the bed, swirling a glass of red wine in her hand. The deep red liquid left ambiguous traces on the glass, much like the way she was looking at me now. What have you been doing all these years? I'll auntie about it. She gently patted the spot beside her, motioning for me to sit. I sat stiffly next to her, keeping a polite distance. Her mature scent invaded my nostrils uncontrollably, making me a little dizzy. She casually touched my hand, her fingertips grazing my hair with a hint of warmth. Long time no see. You've grown up a lot and gotten thinner, she said, her voice slow and magnetic like a feather brushing against my heart. I instinctively felt resistant to this kind of intimacy, my body tensing slightly. But she used to tease me like this when I was little. The overlap of memory and reality created a confusing sense of normalcy. I've been sticking with painting, I said quietly, not daring to look into her eyes. Say, I graduated as an art major, make a living by illustrating, while looking for inspiration and hoping to create better works for competitions. But unfortunately, I've always been a failure. I've never won any significant award. After hearing this, one didn't show the disappointment my mother usually did. Instead, her eyes sparkled with interest. Wait a moment, Susie, has something to show you. A moment later, when she walked back out, I felt like I couldn't breathe. She had changed out of her neat lingerie into an extremely thin, sheer nightgown. The gown was semi-transparent, and in the dim yellow light, her graceful figure was faintly visible beneath it. The fabric draped lightly, and as she moved, it seemed like her snow-white skin was flowing underneath. I was shocked and nearly slipping off the bed. My eyes were fixed on her, completely lost. When one seemed satisfied with my reaction, a faint smile curving her lips, one hand gently propping up her slightly flushed cheek, her eyes shimmering like a pool of spring water. When will you draw a picture for Auntie? I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stay calm. Looking into her expectant, slightly teasing eyes, I picked up my brush. Okay. When one cooperatively struck her most flattering pose, her body forming a beautiful S-curve. The sheer nightgown didn't obscure anything, instead, highlighting the contours of her body. I had never seen such a mature woman. My gaze shifted between the paper and her, each stroke of the brush feeling like I was tracing her soul. The plump curve of her hips, faintly visible beneath the sheer fabric, seemed like a silent invitation. My mind was filled with fantasies. The more I drew, the drier my mouth became, unusually loud in the silent. A strange, restless heat began to churn in my chest. I felt my cheeks burning, fine sweat forming on my forehead, but the thought that she was my mother's friend, an elder who had watched me grow up, made me immediately cut off those immoral thoughts. I tried to focus solely on the play of light and shadow. Halfway through the drawing, I was drenched in sweat, my palms clammy. Just then, the jarring ring of a phone shattered the thick atmosphere in the room. Ring relieved, I quickly pulled out my phone. It went in as my girlfriend Suyao. Please excuse me. Alright, Tuan said with a smile, sitting up. She didn't seem annoyed by the interruption. She naturally reached out and gently dabbed the corner of thin scarf on my forehead. Silly child, why are you sweating so much from drawing? Go wash your face and calm down. You can continue when you come back. Okay. As her fingers brushed past the tip of my nose, I caught a faint, lingering fragrance, making my heart race. I retreated to the balcony to take a call. My voice surged at Wan Zhen. Why did it take you so long to call back? Had he been trying to reach you all day? Loud, thumping electronic music blared from the other end, mixed with the laughter and chatter of men and women. Honey, I am at a club and it's loudy here. Did you arrive? I'll find time to see you tomorrow. I am with friends now. Gotta go. Before I could say anything, the line went dead. Listening to the dial tone, a deep unease welled up inside me. The next afternoon, I met Suyao at the agreed-upon cafe. She was empty alone. A few friends surrounded her, all men and women who seemed like they partied hard. Suyao was a youthful, wild girl. Revealing her long, fair legs, she was capricious and mischievous, like an amiable horse, which was completely opposite to my quiet, introverted nature. But initially, that wildness was what attracted me, even to the point of breaking with my family. But now, sitting among them, I felt an unprecedented sense of alienation. I was clumsy and awkward in front of them, completely unable to communicate. Why can't he believe you actually came? Suyao said lazily, slumped in the sofa, her eyes a little unfocused. I was out all night yesterday, so I am really tired now. Your mom called me, but I think we were just not at the stage of getting married yet. But I want to play for a few more years. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I had made such a huge decision, taken on the label of being unfilial, abandoned everything to come to her, and she just casually said we weren't there yet. Didn't you encourage me to come? I asked, my voice trembling. The impatient chatter of Suyo's friends drowned me out. They were laughing and talking about their conquests from the night before, completely ignoring me, pulling most of Suyo's attention away. Wan Zhen, hurry up. We need to get to the KTV. That gathering is important. Could go with that yellow hair. Sorry, my friends are rushing me. Let us talk later. I didn't say you called and he come. Suya stood up, straightened her leather skirt, and prepared to leave with her friends. Wait, I grabbed her wrist. Wan Zhen, am I not as important as your friends? Is playing around that important to you? Come on, dude. It's just for fun. Why so serious? Looking at me mockingly. Right, Wan Zhen? You don't have much money. What else there to get married for? The people Wan Zhen hangs out with are all rich playboys. You don't even have the money to treat us to a club. How are you going to support her? Shut up. Blood rushing to my head. But Suya's expression changed instantly. She shook off my hand. Why are you yelling at my friend? Apologize to him right now. I stared at Suyao, unable to believe my ears. You want me to apologize to him? Yes, so apologize right now. Suyao looked humiliated, her eyes full of impatience. Just then, the yellow-haired diaper oil on the fire, laughing kneeled down to apologize. That is the only way it is sincere. How could we feel comfortable leaving her with you, eh? His suggestion drew a chorus of agreement from Suyao's other friends. Yeah, Wan Zhen told to kneel and apologize. Kneel, I see it. Suyao laughed along, then turned to me, her tone carrying the condescending sense of charity. Why you? Just kneel and apologize to my friend, and I'll forgive you for being rude just now. She stood there proud as a princess waiting for my submission, because I realized that in their eyes my dignity was worthless. With just a few words I wanted to trample on my bottom line as a man. No, I ground out through clenched teeth. No, then don't you bother seeing me again. Suyao stamped her foot, her face full of disgust. So disappointing. With that, she turned and left with her friends, leaving me sitting alone in the cafe, surrounded by the strange looks of passers-by. I returned alone to M1's villa. My mind blank. I felt like a complete failure in life. The sense of defeat washed over me like a tide, drowning any hope I had left. Then, suddenly, I noticed the easel in the corner of the bedroom. Remembering how she had looked lying on the bed, her gentle, understanding eyes, a strange impulse surged within me. I poured all the discontent and anger, I picked up the brush. What appeared in my mind was Wenwen's mature, voluptuous body. I sketched according to my memory of her from yesterday. I immersed myself in the state, my strokes angry and wild. 没有，女人过70岁. Just as I was burning with inner heat, when one pushed the door open and walked in. She seemed to have just showered, wrapped in a silk robe, her wet hair draped over her shoulders, carrying a fresh scent of water vapor. Drawing, she came up behind me and asked softly, "You came in without saying a word. Do you have something on your mind?" When didn't you realize how suggestive the atmosphere was? She leaned down slightly to get a better look at the painting, the collar of her robe parting a little. The faint scent of shower gel mixed with her body fragrance instantly enveloped me. May reported something unusual about me. I quickly covered myself, flat daring to let her see, my brush leaving a chaotic streak on the paper. Was I really having improper thoughts about when you what is wrong? At Auntie C. When grabbed my hand. Her hand was burning hot, her palm soft and delicate. I twisted my body, trying to avoid her gaze as best I could, my heart pounding like thunder. Oh, Suyao, she actually rejected you. When was a smart woman. From my expression in the messy painting, she probably guessed that Suyao and I had quarreled. Did you fight? Her caring tone nearly broke me. A grown man, tears welling up in his eyes. 女人过了70岁. Am I really that useless? Silly child, Auntie B sad. When one said softly and opened her arms. Remember when you were little? You were such a crybaby. Whenever you cried, Auntie would hold you in her arms. 女人过了70岁. I knew they'd stop. But Auntie hugged you. Almost by instinct, I threw myself into Wenwen's embrace. The feeling of sadness faded quickly, replaced by a long-lost sense of security. Smelling wonderful and fragrant, soft in a way that made me never want to leave. I buried my face in Wenwen's neck, seeking the comfort of childhood. But then I realized my cheek was pressed against something incredibly soft. It was the fullness unique to a mature woman, full of elasticity and warmth. Just as I startled and tried to pull away, Wenwen's arm wrapped around the back of my hat, holding me tightly. When you just say in Auntie's arms, if something is upsetting you, tell Auntie about it. Auntie, I mumbled, on my voice muffled against her chest. My eyes were fixed on her collarbone, faintly visible beneath the robe. That strange feeling began to surge again, like fire spreading over dry wood. I wrapped my arms around Wenwen's waist and lay there for a long time, my heart warm yet confused. Seeing that I was Auntie sad anymore, Wenwen chuckled softly and patted my back gently. Back when I took care of you, I was still young. Back then, Auntie used to think, if only I could have a little baby like you, then I could cuddle you every day. Wenwen shifted her body slightly. I parted my lips. Just as I was about to savor that sensation, Wenwen's words jolted me awake. All right, Ashley. All right. She let go of me, her eyes full of affection. After that night, I finished the painting. I took a photo and sent it to my mentor. A few days later, my mentor told me the painting had won an award, a fairly prestigious competition, the first affirmation of my talent. I felt an urge to celebrate. The first person I thought of was Wenwen, but due to complicated feelings, I decided to share the good news with Suyao first. After all, she was still my girlfriend on paper. I told Suyao, and she immediately said she wanted to celebrate with me that night. We agreed on a place. I went early to reserve the best table and ordered her favorite dishes. Before the dishes were even fully served, Suyao's expression was very off. She seemed restless, constantly checking her phone and fingers anxiously on the table. After a while, she took a call. Her face changed, and she immediately told me, "BYU, my friends are calling me out to hang out. I really can't say no." With that, Suyao hurried off, looking flustered, almost forgetting her purse. Wanjun, I watched her retreating back, the unease in my heart growing stronger. I immediately chased after her, saw her get into a taxi, and followed in another. I saw her go to a high-end KEV on the outskirts of the city. I hesitated at the entrance, waiting for what felt like forever, until I couldn't wait any longer. Today was the day I won the award. I had wanted to celebrate properly with her, but she ran off to play with friends. How important was I to her, really? I decided to go inside and see what kind of people Suyao's friends were. Fueled by anger, I rushed inside and searched through the private rooms one by one. Finally, in a very hidden, dimly lit room, I saw Suyao. Wanjun. She was sitting deep in the sofa, her expression dazed and unfocused. In the dim room, a group of men and women were partying wildly, everyone lost in their own world. Not even noticing me enter, I hurried over to try to shake her awake. I saw it. Drugs. I did never touch the stuff, but I did seen it in the news. I quickly realized what Su Yao had done. A wave of sadness and fear washed over me. Just one look at her dazed face told me she had taken quite a bit. But then what truly broke my heart came next. Su Yao's black leather skirt was hiked up, and underneath was a complete mess. In the flashing neon lights, I saw her being held in the yellow-haired guy's arms. Their movements were extremely obscene. I didn't even know how many men had touched her. I felt a wave of intense nausea, my head spinning. I couldn't watch anymore, barely making it to the greenery outside before nearly throwing up. Just then, several police cars roared past, their red and blue lights sitting my eyes. A group of officers rushed into that KTV. I returned to Wenwan's house, completely lost. Wenwan came home late as well. As soon as she entered, I threw myself into her arms soon, tears finally falling. Wenwan was startled, looked at me with heartache, and immediately held me close. I knew what is wrong. Don't you be sad. Only then did I notice that Wenwan had prepared a lavish dinner at home. A bottle of Lafite was open on the table. Red wine poured into goblets clearly meant to celebrate my award. Thinking of Su Yao's disgraceful stay in the KTV, and then looking at Wenwan, whose hardened eyes were full of me, my mind was a tangled mess. When you rest for a bit, why do you look so haggard? Wenwan tried to lead me to the bedroom to rest, but at that moment, acting on impulse, I suddenly grabbed her and kissed her hard on the lips. Wenwan was stunned. I was sent to. Her lips were soft, warm, with a hint of the red wine's richness. Our eyes met. The impulsive act shocked me to apologize, but just as I started to separate, Wenwan seemed to explode. She cut my face and kissed me back fiercely. Her kiss was passionate and urgent, like a volcano finally finding release after being suppressed for too long. When you like auntie, she breathed against my lips, her eyes hazy and full of emotion. That sentence was the final blow that shattered the dam. Yes, when you and I surged like a flash flood, unable to control ourselves as we tangled together. Breath carried when one inch we tumbled onto the big bed in the bedroom. My hands trembled as I untied the sash of her nightgown. Then I called into hold back any longer. I pressed down on her fiercely, earning a passionate, fire response from Wenwan. That night, too, the moonlight outside the window seemed exceptionally bright, illuminating the entangled figures inside. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains. After the frenzy, I looked blankly at what was before me. Wenwan was sleeping next to me, made her look even more vibrant than usual. Her face flushed with a satisfied blush, was sleeping quietly, one hand still resting on my waist. When I moved, she opened her eyes. When you were away, Auntie didn't disappoint you last night, did she? Wenwan touched my face, speaking seductively, her voice a little hoarse with languor. No, Auntie, you were my mother's friend. Last night, I was just too impulsive. A huge wave of guilt washed over me. Wenwan was my mother's best friend, an elder who had watched me grow up. How could I have done something like this? But Wenwan grabbed me as I tried to jump up. When you, Auntie didn't control herself well last night. It is not your fault, eh? Are you worried about your mother finding out? But Auntie, when she tell her. Okay? I hesitated. Wenwan seemed to know what I was thinking. She told me not to worry. Just stay at Auntie's house for a while. When you want to go back, you can go back. That's a beautiful dream. Hearing this, I felt very conflicted. Owen was my mother's friend. I knew there were things that shouldn't happen. Seeing that I was still feeling guilty and ashamed, Mama tried to lighten the mood with a joke. When you, Auntie has heard us saying when you were young, you don't appreciate the charm of a mature woman. You only treasure the young girl. Was she satisfying? Her eyes carrying a hint of expectation and anxiety. Just hold by your business in my house. With that, when one got up and went to take a shower, to wash away the remnants of last minute's passion, I got up and, as if possessed, walked to the bathroom door. Listening to the sound of water inside, I gripped the doorknob tightly. I didn't hesitate. The door opened easily. Will you? Don't you come in here? Wenwan's voice was flustered, but more than that shy. Soon, only the steam and our intermingled gasps remained in the bathroom. Within half a month, so that asked to meet and talk. I hadn't planned to see Su Yao again, but Wenwan advised me to make a clean break. If I really didn't want to face Su Yao alone, she could accompany me as my elder. Of course, Wenwan didn't know what Su Yao had done at the KTV that night. She just didn't want me mistreated. So I decided to go with Wenwan to see Su Yao. At the cafe, Su Yao looked like a completely different person. BYU, I really regret getting into that stuff. I've decided to quit drugs. Will you still be with me? She was very haggard, sitting in the sofa, her face gaunt. I sunken. She looked at me pitifully, begging for another chance. It was empty that I had no feelings for Suyao at all. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fallen out with my family and come all this way for her. But now looking at this girl, who had once captivated me, I realized I no longer had much feeling for her. The disgust I felt became crystal clear when I looked at Wenwan. When you, if you still like her, you can decide for yourself. No matter what, Auntie will support you. Wenwan sat beside me, secretly holding my hand. I held Wenwan's hand back and smiled at her. Then I turned to look at Suyao. Suyao, I've made up my mind. I have no lingering feelings for you. As my words fell, Suyao was sissy. But Lin Yu and Wenwan looked into each other's eyes. I saw a hint of relief in Wenwan's eyes. She must have been afraid I would choose Suyao, which would have hurt her. Really? But we're both shameless. Suyao suddenly shrieked, standing up and throwing the coffee from her cup into Wenwan's face. Mira surreptitiously. The coffee had cooled down, but the brown liquid dripped down Wenwan's delicate face, making her look terribly disheveled. Slap. I hit Suyao hard across the face. What are you doing? She asked my aunt. Auntie, Yankai can't you see? When you were just together with your aunt, aren't you? You hit me for this old woman. I want to lay you the happy ending. Suyao, stung by my slap, rushed out angrily, leaving the cafe patrons staring, heart-aching. I took out a tissue and gently wiped the coffee from Wenwan's face. Auntie, are you okay? I am fine. Wenwan looked at me, despite having coffee thrown in her face. I could tell she was very happy. The days that followed were peaceful and sweet, a silent understanding between Lin Yu and me. After the window paper was torn, every breath of air became thick and sweet, like an ordinary couple. Whenever we were out shopping, Wenwan wouldn't let me call her auntie. I still stumbled over it, stammering under puzzled looks of shop assistants, and Wenwan would cover her mouth and laugh, her eyes full of affection. Later, to please her, I called her Wenwan in public and in our private moments. I dared to whisper the intimate name Jingjin. At dusk, the setting sun dyed the streets a warm gold. I carried the groceries in one hand and held Wenwan's hand tightly with the other. Her palm was warm, her fingers slender and soft. Sometimes she would playfully scratch my palm, making my heart race. We walked home, our shadows stretched long and overlapping, as if foretelling an unbreakable bond. But this sullen happiness was ultimately fragile. That evening, as we approached the front door, I saw a familiar figure standing by the villa gate. The figure looked somewhat forlorn in the fading light. It carried an undeniable authority. My heart contracted violently, my blood freezing. Shall we? Jingjing, you? My mother asked, voice trembled. I recoiled as if shot, abruptly letting go of Wenwan's hand. Huiru, what brings you here? Why didn't you call ahead? Wenwan tried to stay calm, quickly taking out her keys to open the door, attempting to cover the awkwardness with enthusiasm. Come inside and said. My mother didn't move immediately, finally fixing on Wenwan's flustered but still beautiful face. After a moment of restraint, the atmosphere inside was suffocatingly tense. My mother sat on the sofa, her back ramrod straight, her usual dominant posture. Is it true, as Chen Wanzhen said, that you two are together? My mother finally spoke, her voice cold as ice. Wenwan lowered her head, like a child caught doing wrong. Huiru, I am sorry. Wo Jingjing, you are my friend. Do you know how many years younger Xiao Wei is than you? How could you do such a thing? She suddenly stood up and raised her hand, and to hit Wenwan, quick as lightning. I rushed over to block my mother. Mom, if you were angry, take it out on me. Don't hit Wenwan. You are still protecting her. What right do you have to protect her? My mother pointed at me, her finger trembling. Where am I supposed to put my face? She grabbed my shirt and slapped me hard several times. The sharp cracks echoed through the living room, making my head spin and drawing blood from the corner of my mouth. But I stood there motionless, letting her vent, because I knew I had to get through this. Wenwan couldn't bear it anymore. She rushed over and grabbed my mother's hand, tears streaming down her face. Huiru, I am so sorry. Don't blame Xiao Wei, okay? It is all my fault. I couldn't control myself. We won't see each other anymore, alright? Xiao Wei, you should go back. Auntie. Hearing Wenwan's word, my mother calmed down a little, but her eyes were so full of disappointment and anger toward me. Seeing Wenwan crying, my heart ached. I knew that if I backed down now, Wenwan would bear all the blame, and I would regret it for the rest of my life. I am not going back. I looked at my mother and said firmly. My mother was stunned, as if she'd heard something impossible. Say that again? I took a deep breath and looked tenderly at Wenwan. Her eyes were full of fear and reluctance, as if afraid of losing me and of facing the world as judgment. Mom, you were right. But feelings aren't determined by age or status. I don't know when it started, but I really fell in love with her, and I think she feels the same. Isn't that right, Jing? After my words fell, the living room fell into dead silence. When one was frozen, my mother was frozen too. After a long while, her mother let out a deep sigh. She looked at me as if seeing me for the first time. Have you really thought this through? Even if it means being shunned by everyone, even if people point fingers. Ivy, fine. My mother said 3 times in a row, the light in her eyes gradually dimmed. I can't control you anymore. Since you are determined to be with her, then go ahead. But don't you expect me to ever acknowledge this relationship? With that, my mother left without looking back. I knew she was very angry. May would never speak to me again. But some things I simply couldn't let go. When the door closed, when one seemed to collapse, slumping onto the sofa, I walked over and gently held her. Xiaowei, you really want to stay? When Wen's voice trembled with disbelief, I quickly stopped her, my fingers gently wiping away the tears at the corner of her eyes. I'll protect you for the rest of my life. When one laughed through her tears, lightly punching my chest. Silly, still calling me auntie. I paused, then corrected myself. Jing, some love has nothing to do with age, only with the days and nights. Until the days pass, we were like 2 hedgehogs trying to keep each other warm in the bitter winter, carefully tucking away our spines, offering only our softest bellies to each other. But Chen Wanzhen didn't disappear as we had hoped. That night, as Wan and I were about to rest, there was a frantic pounding at the door. The knocking was rough and crazy, as if trying to break the door down. I opened the door to a distorted face Wanzhen. She looked even more haggard than last time, her hair a mess, her eyes bloodshot and filled with a morbid excitement. Behind her stood the yellow-haired guy from the KTV and a few other rough-looking men. Yang Wei, so you are here. Chen Wanzhen sneered, pushing past me and barging inside. Chen Wanzhen, what are you doing here? I stood in front of Wan, eyeing these uninvited guests warily. What am I doing? I am here to see how you were fooling around with this old woman. Chen Wanzhen pointed at Wan, screaming hysterically. You hit me for this old woman. You broke up with me for her. Wan frowned and stepped forward. Please show some respect. This is my home. If you keep being unreasonable, I'll call the police. Call the police. Chen Wanzhen laughed as if she'd heard the funniest joke. Go ahead. Let us see if the police arrest me, a drug addict or you. The old slut who said us is a younger man. That sentence was like a bomb, instantly igniting the atmosphere in the room. When Wan's face turned ashen, her body trembling slightly. Shut up. Rushing forward to push Chen Wanzhen away, but the yellow-haired guy blocked me. He pulled a folding knife from his pocket and twirled it in his hand, his eyes menacing. Easy there. Wanzhen just wants to chat with you. I so tense. What do you want? I said. I stared at the knife, a chill running down my spine. What do I want? Chen Wanzhen walked up to where Wan and shook her hard. When Wan, caught off guard, stumbled back a few steps and crashed into the coffee table, clutching her waist as she fell to the ground. Jing. Enraged, I pushed the yellow-haired guy aside and rushed to help Wan up. Yang Wei, take a good look. This is the woman you chose. Chen Wanzhen looked down at us, her eyes full of malice. I am telling you, if I can't have you, no one will. With that, she pulled a packet of white powder from her bag and threw it viciously onto Wan's face and body. This is in. I stared in horror at the powder. I bought this off the black market. I was going to use it myself, but now I'll give you a taste. Chen Wanzhen laughed maniacally. The police will be here any minute. I've already reported drug possession here. You two can rot in jail. Just then, the sound of police sirens came from outside. My mind went blind pointy, looking at Wan, her face covered in powder, coughing painfully. Only one thought remained: protect her. Jing, run. I grabbed Wan and rushed toward the back door. Run? Not so fast. The yellow-haired guy and his crew chased after her. We ran frantically through the back garden, the shouting and sirens blending into a nightmare. When Wan was panting heavily, then stumbled and fell. Don't you worry about me, Xiaowei. You run. When Wan pushed me away, her voice desperate. They can't catch you. You are innocent. I am not running. We all get caught together. When the police burst in, visual as this scene, they saw a young man holding a middle-aged woman covered in powder, both wearing expressions of despair and determination. In the interrogation room, the light was harsh and white. I sat in a chair, my hands cuffed to the table, their expression serious. Yang Wei, do you know you are suspected of sheltering a drug user and possessing drugs? I don't know what that powder was. Chen Wanzheng threw it on us, I answered calmly. We have eyewitnesses who saw you and Wu Jingjing behaving intimately before the incident, and a large amount of drugs were found on Wu Jingjing. That was a frame-up. Whether it was a frame-up or not, we might consider leniency. I looked up at the officer and said, word by word, she is innocent. I'll take all the blame. The officer paused, seemingly not expecting that answer. Are you sure? Sheltering and drug possession together could mean several years in prison. I am sure. When I walked out of the interrogation room, dawn had broken. When one had been released on bail by her lawyer, she stood at the door waiting for me, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Seeing me come out, she threw herself into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Jiawei, why did you confess? You'll go to prison. I patted her back gently and said softly, it is okay. What has a few years in prison? And I believe in the law. I believe the truth will come out. When one looked up at me, her tearful eyes full of emotion. What your mother? I'll explain to my mother. I believe one day she'll understand. I wiped the tears from my one's face and looked at the rising sun, feeling a peace I had never known before. Some love is destined to weather storms before seeing the rainbow. When one and I are like two trees and wind in the wind and rain no matter what happens. Because love means standing with you even when the whole world is against you. Everyone living the same repetitive days. And one day a message about a class reunion arrived, like a warm light shining quietly into my weak life. Everyone came with their own reasons and purposes. And there I created an unforgettable memory. If you were me, would you run hold me tight, like Clint waited back then? Even though it was just ordinary, friendly care, to me it was incredibly special. My chest thumped and worse. That long lost stirring awakened inside me, becoming hot and hard. Her hug kept replaying in my mind over and over, thinking about whether she might have felt this undeniable change deep in my body. I was so embarrassed my cheeks burned. It seems we've both aged and truly changed her. So today, I really want to let loose soon. I take some time for myself, but I can't just pick anyone. Dinwei's voice said softly, but, Susie, I think you might be the one. Just for today. Anyway, I have to go back eventually. Today was another ordinary day. At 7, I got up, showered, and drove to my baseball training center. The center I run in Taoyuan is quite large, with several coaches. Occasionally I give personal instruction, but most of the time I sit in my office handling management affairs. I am the boss, and I live alone, so there is not much else to do. Every day I go to the center for work. I know the kids on the youth baseball team need to raise their shoulder angles a bit more. Yes, like that. Checking their swing speeds, range conditioning drills. I always remember my own days as a professional player and pass on that experience to them. I mostly sit in my office dealing with membership management, staff scheduling, and other trivial matters. In the evening, I grab dinner at some random place near the center, then go home. Watch TV until I fall asleep. Always the same pattern. Before I knew it, I was 47. I am in the transition from middle age to old age. Thanks to consistent exercise, my body is healthier than most people my age from muscles. Good stamina. No one sees it as just for health management. It has been 5 years since the divorce. I got married at 23. At the time I was a professional baseball player, mostly in the minors but occasionally called up to the majors. Then my wife had an affair. Devastated by that betrayal, I couldn't focus on the game. Eventually, due to an injury, I had to end my playing career. I never thought about remarrying after that. I was afraid of trusting someone again only to be betrayed. So I've lived alone for 15 years. Dull life, no joy, no excitement, just day after day of existing. But recently, something brought me new joy, a message from a high school classmate. You really have to come this time. Everyone is waiting for you. It was a group message from our class president, Taeyeon. The reunion happens every year, but I never attended. Lots of excuses, busy, not feeling well, but the real reason was something else. I felt pressure about having been a professional player. It is not like I was famous, but still, a pro ball player. I was afraid people would think I was showing off, so I kept avoiding it. But this time is different. Is it because life has been so boring lately with no joy? Or because I am older and starting to miss old friends? I am curious about Lin Wei. She was my first love back in school. We were in the same class. My C was at Janini was at not far from me. She was quiet, well-behaved, a model student, but she was truly beautiful, long hair, fair skin, delicate features. She was the most popular girl in class, liked by boys and girls alike. And I liked her too. I confessed several times. Okay, Susie H. Just focus on baseball. I am serious. Lin Wei, forget it. I need to study. I was rejected repeatedly, but I never gave up. After graduation, we lost touch. Lin Wei got into a prestigious university, and I entered the pros. I never saw her again. How is she doing? Is she married? Does she have kids? Is she still as beautiful? I decided to go. Daeonji, I'll go this time. Susie H is coming. Wow, Susie H is coming. The group chat exploded. Susie H, long time no see. We definitely have to meet up this time. My classmates' reactions were very enthusiastic. I felt a little embarrassed, but also full of anticipation. And most importantly, the thought of whether Lin Wei would also come made my heart pound. At 47, I was still like a boy in front of my first love. The reunion was on Saturday, just a few days away. I rummaged through my closet, worrying about what to wear. Something too formal would be weird, but too casual wouldn't be good either. Finally, I chose jeans and a clean shirt, because Ivy kept exercising. My body is in good shape, so the shirt looked good on me. I looked in the mirror, fixed my hair, shaved carefully, and tidied myself up. My heart raced with excitement I hadn't felt in a long time. I thought Saturday, hurry up and come, then I went to bed. That night, I had a dream. I was back in high school, playing baseball on the field. Lin Wei was sitting in the stands watching me, fighting. Lin Wei waved and smiled. Seeing her like that, I was filled with power and hit a home run. When I woke up, I had a smile on my face. It was the happiest dream I'd had in a long time. Lin Wei, 37 years old, I got up before my husband and prepared breakfast. Praise for Christ. Vegetables, 女人过了70岁, on side dishes saying, bites healthy food actually, praise healthy, has to eat that way. I set the table and called my husband. He came to the table expressionless, and that short reply was all. Our son N, a senior in high school, is preparing for the entrance exam. My daughter is in middle school. Mom, I need to leave early for cram school. I know, eat quickly. Man, 过了70岁, quickly and left for cram school. My husband said he had to go to the hospital and left hurriedly. My husband is a doctor. I washed dishes, I laundry cleaned. I just ate some lettuce by myself. In the afternoon, I went to the supermarket to buy groceries and prepared the kids' dinner. That was my day. Someone as wife, someone as mother, but nowhere could I find the person named Lin Wei. Married for 22 years. I got married at 25th. At the time, I worked at a bank. He has a good doctor from a good family, and arranged a blind date. Lin Wei, this man is good. A doctor, good family background. Mom, but he is too old for me. So what, stability is what matters. At the time, Jiming was 37, 12 years older than me. Honestly, I didn't feel like him much. He was older and had a wooden personality. I wasn't very satisfied. But my parents kept urging me, so I went through with it. That was the biggest mistake of my life. The wedding night was a huge disappointment. My husband was clumsy and lacking in that area. I wasn't satisfied at all. But it never improved. Instead, as he got older, it got worse. Lately, he doesn't even try anymore. Every day, let alone the ability. I've suppressed my desires as a woman for over 20 years, focusing only on raising the children. That was my role. I've reached my limit. The kids are growing up, high school, middle school, they no longer need my constant care. Yet I still only know how to cook, do laundry, and clean. I often think, what am I? Really? A husband and I hardly talk. No affection, no concern. It doesn't feel like a marriage, it feels like I am taking care of an elderly relative. When I talk to him with a more too thin. Dear politicians say, do whatever you want to. I don't want to argue, talking just makes me more depressed. I've been holding on day by day with the thought. Once the kids are adults, I'll get a divorce. Then one day, when you have to come to the reunion this time. Everyone misses you. There was a class reunion message from our class president, Taeyeon. I received it every year but never attended. The timing never worked, taking kids to cram school, accompanying my husband to hospital events, in-laws events. I was always busy. I suddenly wanted to go. I didn't want to be stuck at home, only thinking about the kids and my husband. I wanted to see old friends, eat good food, have a little wine. I needed healing. I needed time for myself. How long had it been since I took time for myself? What had become of my old classmates? How were my friends doing? And most importantly, I was curious about Susie H. He was the boy who liked me back in school. The baseball player, tall, right at sports SA. very popular among the girls. Go out with me. Hey Susie H. Just focus on baseball. I rejected him. I never imagined Susie H. would become a pro athlete. His future seemed uncertain, but now looking back, I regret it. What if I had chosen Susie H.? Would I be happier than now? I often wondered, how is Susie H. doing now? Susie H. is coming. It is for real this time. The friends were all excited because he is a former pro after all. My heart pounded too, a long-lost feeling of excitement. All right, I'll go. Just one day. I deserve a break. I made up my mind. Wouldn't he care anyway? And wouldn't he agree? I would just say I was going out. I'll come. Long time no see. I replied to the message. The group chat exploded again. Wenwei is coming. Our class goddess is coming. Wenwei, long time no see. It was a little embarrassing, but it felt good. Someone remembered me, was happy I was coming. At home, no one ever calls me Wenwei. Wife, Digimon. Boss as wife, those are all my titles. But my friends are different. They call me Wenwei from my school days. My heart raced. What should I wear? I rummaged through my closet. It had been so long since I chose clothes for myself. Something flashy would be weird to plain also weird. I looked in the mirror. I thought I looked pretty good. Though I am 47, thanks to skincare, I look younger than my age. I put on a bit more makeup than usual. Even lipstick. It had been a long time since I dressed up. I felt good. I wanted to let loose. Forget the identity of Ximen's wife and mother, be Linwei for just one day, and have fun. I looked forward to Saturday. At night my heart still pounded when I went to bed. What would Susie H. be like? Still handsome. What would he think when he saw me? Those thoughts swirled in my head. I had another dream, the high school baseball field. We sat in the stands watching. Wenwei, Susie H. saw me, waved and smiled. I waved back and smiled. When I woke up I had a smile on my face. The feeling of excitement I hadn't felt in a long time. Saturday finally came, the day of the reunion. I was nervous from the morning. I used hair wax to style my hair neatly. I put on the jeans and shirt I had prepared. Thanks to consistent exercise, my body was in shape slowly. So the shirt fit well, with appropriately defined arm muscles. I put on a little cologne, light, not too strong. I checked my watch, 5 p.m. The reunion started at 6 p.m. at a barbecue restaurant in Xinyi district. I left early on purpose, afraid of being late. My heart still pounded. Old songs play on the radio, songs I listened to in high school. Memories flooded back, playing baseball with friends on the field. The noise between classes and watching Linwei from afar. I parked the car and walked to the restaurant. As soon as I entered, I heard familiar voices. Hey Susie H. Over here. It was my friends. Everyone was already seated. Time had passed, but they still carried traces of their old selves. Yanji's belly was a bit bigger, but he was still as noisy as ever. He had much less hair, but his smile was the same. Looked more mature, but his eyes were still warm. Hey, Susie H. Long time no see. Daeonji stood up and hugged me. Daeonji, long time no see. Yan Damin also stood up. We hugged each other. Hey, you were in good shape. No wonder you were a former athlete. You haven't changed at all. Truly happy to see them. So this is what friends are. No matter how much time passes, though appearances age, the heart stays in that same place. There were also female classmates. Darling sat in fashionable clothes. Jamie was still talking non-stop. Susie H. Long time no see. Hey, is that Susie H.? You really haven't changed at all. I hugged and greeted them one by one. Then my gaze stopped on one spot. Sitting quietly was Linwei. My heart skipped a beat. Even more beautiful. Maybe it was the makeup, to the core elegant, noble. Hard to believe she was 47. Linwei saw me too. Our eyes met. Time seemed to stand still. I carefully walked over. Linwei, long time no see. My voice trembled a little. Long time no see. Susie H. And you were late. She joked. But I'm gonna 70 a reunion. It was the first time I hugged Linwei, the girl I had a crush on in school. Even though it was just a friendly greeting, to me it was special. My heart pounded wildly. My chest thumped, and worse, that long-lost Shizame awakened inside me, becoming hot and hard. No, this is wrong. I tried to calm myself, but it was hard. I felt Linwei's body heat, her faint perfume brushing my nose, the soft touch of her body. I was still a man. Another person was my first love. I couldn't control my reaction. But Linwei didn't let go quickly. Instead, she held tighter. Susie H. Her voice was low, so only I could hear. I came to the reunion to see you. Hearing that, my heart seemed to stop. My mind went blank. Lin came to see me. Really, me too. I unconsciously murmured, I came to see you too. My voice was very soft, but Lin must have heard. Then maliciously, Susie H.E. Flustered. I sat beside Lin. The friends didn't notice anything. Still being noisy. All right, everyone is here. Let us begin. Daeonji raised his glass. Cheers. The reunion began. Drinking beer passed around, laughter constant. Everyone talked about old memories and teased each other about their changes. Hey, Daeonji, her belly got bigger. You've lost a lot of hair. Hey, that is just a man's mature beauty. The scene was noisy and fun. I couldn't concentrate on what they were saying because Lin was right next to me. Lin laughed happily. Her side profile while chatting. Decades had passed, but she was still beautiful, still so pretty. Sometimes when Lin lowered her head to eat, or wiped her mouth, or raised her beer glass, every little movement of hers caught my eye. And that hug kept replaying in my mind, thinking about whether she might have felt this undeniable change deep in my body. I was so embarrassed my cheeks burned. I was full of worry, but Lin talked to me very naturally. Thanks. You said you ran a training center, right? Is it doing well? Oh, just staying home with the kids. Her voice was calm, but it sounded a little hollow. For some reason, my heart ached. Was Lin unhappy? Time passed quickly. Before we knew it, it was past 9 p.m. I checked my watch 9:20. The reunion atmosphere grew even more lively, and my friends' faces were all flushed. Hey, let us go for a second round, Daeonji shouted. Let us go to a KTV. Let us have some fun. Yeah. But others shook their heads. I have to go home, my wife will get mad. Me too. The kids are waiting. Sorry, I need to leave early too. As for me, I had nothing to go home to, living alone. I was planning to go to the second round, but then I felt a light tap on my side. It was Lin. She poked my waist slightly. I turned. Lin whispered in my ear, Susie H.E. Her gaze was meaningful. Just the two of us. My heart began to pound wildly. Another drink. What does that mean? The two of us alone. But Lin I knew was never this forward. She was still beautiful, but her personality seemed much more direct, more at ease. Lin sounds great. Let us say goodbye to the group, then meet around the corner in front of the convenience store. I nodded. Everyone, I am going to head out. So early, Lin. I need to take care of the kids. I had a great time today. Lin hugged each friend goodbye. She acted very naturally, no one suspected. I got ready to leave too. I am a bit tired too. But my friends grabbed me. Hey Susie, how are you going? You live alone, nothing to be busy about. Come to the second round. Daeonji grabbed my arm. AHE and Damin also pulled at me. How to get out of this? I think I am getting a cold. What are you talking about? You read a picture of health, but I have to open the center tomorrow. I work weekends too. Yeah, weekend classes. I had no choice, sorry. Let us do it another time. My tree. I waved goodbye and fled. A restaurant. Outside, a cool breeze hit me. My heart pounded. I felt like I was back in high school, like a nervous boy before his first date. I turned the corner and ran toward the convenience store, out of breath, but unable to steal twice in front of the convenience stores to the woman Lin. She was so beautiful, I ran up panting. Susie H.E. Lin smiled. It is great to see our classmates today. My friends had kept trying to drive me to the second round. I said I wanted to see Lin too. Beer? Lin shook her head. I've had a bit too much already. But where? I was a little flustered. A cafe? Just walk quiet, go somewhere quiet, she said softly. Somewhere quiet. What did that mean? My mind was a mess. High hotel? Impossible. Lin was married, had kids. But Lin suddenly spoke. Hey, Susie H.E., when you hugged me earlier, what was that thing? For a moment my mind went blank. That thing. Why my cheeks burned. She had figured it out. How could I explain? That. I couldn't speak when I laughed out loud. She asked jokingly, but her eyes were serious. It is not that. It is just that you were my first love. It sounded like an excuse. Nope, it was an excuse. Lin seemed amused by my flustered state. She smiled and said, You were so cute, Susie H.E. Then she started walking. I followed. We just kept walking, down the neon-lit streets. The night streets were as Lin lights flashing, people coming and going, music flowing. I couldn't believe I was walking side by side with Lin. It was a dream from high school, walking hand in hand with Lin. Of course we weren't holding hands now. Susie A. G. Benway murmured. A November evening breeze was indeed a bit chilly. When do you need to go home? Your wife is waiting, right? Benway, I got divorced a long time ago. I told the truth. Benway looked surprised. No, really? Sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, that's okay. So you live alone? Yeah. Must be lonely. Benway's voice was sympathetic. What about you? I have 2 kids. One in senior year of high school, one in middle school. I didn't know. It has been so long since I'd been out at night in a place like this. Benway said, looking around. Oh, my husband texted asking when I am coming home. She sighed. Husband, that word stung my heart. Benway was a married woman with a family and kids. She lived in a different world from me. You haven't been drinking. Should I give you a ride home? I tried to be considerate. Benway thought for a moment, then replied, Okay, sure. Let us go to where you parked. We unapologetically called my car. Even while walking, my heart raced. Benway was still a charming woman. The sunlight poured relentlessly into the living room, stinging my eyes. I sat on the cold floor, the thin piece of notepaper in my hand feeling as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Its edges crumbled from my grip. Benway was gone. Like a sudden rain shower that moistens parched earth, Ben resolutely retreats back behind the clouds, leaving only mud puddles and damp memories. I stood up mechanically and walked to the bathroom. I turned on the water, the hot steam rising into a white mist that filled the small space. I stared at the naked middle-aged man in the mirror, the red marks from last night's passion still visible on my skin. Real evidence that the night had not been a ridiculous dream. I scrubbed my body vigorously, my nails scraping my skin, trying to wash away the faint scent of her perfume, the touch of her, but the harder I tried, the more the faint fragrance seemed to seep into my pores, engraving itself into my bones. I gave up, slumping against the cold, wet tile, letting the hot water pour over me. Some marks, it turns out, cannot be washed away, just as some regrets are destined to accompany you for the rest of your life. After that day, my life outwardly returned to a stagnant calm. Savannah, wake up, go to the baseball training center, watch the kids swing their bats. Their movements were still immature, but in my eyes every arc of a swing, every crack of the bat seemed to overlay the image of that teenage boy playing baseball on the high school field. I often lost focus, the sound in my ears not the sharp crack of the bat, but Benway's breathy whisper in my ear that night, Susie H. I became a little neurotic. Every time I passed that barbecue restaurant in Zini district, whenever my phone beeped in, my heart would race uncontrollably, fantasizing that a familiar profile picture would light up again. I opened the class group chat countless times, staring at that silent name, my finger hovering over the screen, only to eventually put it down weakly. That police had become an insurmountable wall between me and my impulses. About a month later, on a rainy night, the TV playing some boring variety show, laughter booming. I inexplicably opened my computer and searched through an old, neglected hard drive. Among a pile of old photos, I found a faded black and white high school graduation picture. Low resolution, heads crowded together. I zoomed in, my fingertip trembling as it scrolled across the screen, and finally found her in the back row, in a corner. That was Benway from 27 years ago. Short hair cut to her ears, neat school uniform, hands folded in front of her, eyes clear and quiet. She stood on the edge of the crowd, slightly bowing her head, as if not wanting to draw attention. I need that wearing my baseball uniform, standing in the front row center, gripping up the symbolic baseball bat. Between us were the distance of several people, the entire noise and innocence of our youth. My fingertip gently traced her small figure on the screen, and tears fell unexpectedly onto the keyboard. So from the beginning to the end, we were just standing in the corners of each other's lives. Back then she was a quiet observer in the corner, and I was a chaser in the noisy center. She is the solid pillar of a family, and I am a brief escape, a temporary harbor. The heat of that night was like a sudden burst of vivid film intruding into a dull, black and white silent movie. It was too bright, too hot to saw, but when it went, the darkness it left behind felt even longer, even colder. I turned off the computer. The rain pattered against the window. I lay in bed, smelling the pillow, the faint fragrance that had long since dissipated yet seemed to linger perpetually by my when we would not come back. That just for today that we had agreed upon was her mercy to me, and also her punishment. The days ahead will probably go on like this. Day after day of training, dinner alone, falling asleep in front of the TV, only in the dead of every quiet night, when that deep masculine loneliness awakens again, will I remember that night. Remember her soft hair brushing against my chest, the relief that she let out as she blossomed in my arms, the final smile with tears in her eyes. That was the most brilliant and most desperate firework of my 47-year life. It illuminated all my mediocrity and loneliness, then at its peak abruptly ended. I will carry this memory of being ignited through these dreary days, slowly burning out until I turn to ashes.